What's up, y'all? I'm Molly. You're watching Mirror Readings, and we're talking about how to jailbreak your DNA. And what does this even mean? We'll get into it. Do you want to get a Gene Keys reading from me? Please visit my website, mirrorreadings.com, and subscribe to this channel to save 15% on all my offerings. All right, bet. So we're going to be talking about epigenetics today. And epigenetics is the idea that our environment, our consciousness, our relationships, all of this influences how our DNA expresses, okay? So we're going to be talking about talking to our telomeres, bringing sunlight into our cells consciously and using that to transmute the density of our bodies and unlock that quote unquote junk DNA, which is just our extrasensory abilities waiting to come online. So first of all, we are down here, okay, however you want to conceive of it. We are here in this human form, which is incredibly dense. The yogis say there's only like a tiny piece of a fingernail of our whole consciousness here in our human bodies, all right? And so the way we get back to that higher consciousness, which is made of light, and you can go with it's actually made of light or it's metaphorically made of light, whatever, dude. We're down here in this very dense consciousness, and we kind of have a hard time making sense of anything. So everything's an approximation, but just go with me, okay? We want to bring light into our physical beings so that we become lighter and lighter and lighter, and we can hold more of that higher consciousness, which is light. Straight from the horse's mouth here, all right, right at the beginning of the Big Gene Keys book. I want to read you this passage. There will undoubtedly be times in your process in which the light inside your DNA seems very dim and far away. Your attitude during such times is of utmost importance. You may have arrived at a turning point in your own sequence, and you must honor the feelings that come up inside you. Your sequence can never be wrong, all right? We're talking about your hologenetic profile, your Gene Keys profile. Understand that your DNA is throwing up a shadow pattern so that you can erase it from your genetic memory forever. Wow. In each person's sequence, there are twists and turns that lead to revelations, insights, and breakthroughs. Each revelation you have with this book leaves you different. Every breakthrough causes your DNA to mutate to a higher frequency, which in turn makes you feel and behave differently from before. The real magic comes alive as the inner sequence is reflected in your outer life. Your attractor field changes, and a new outer sequence of events takes place as the cosmos begins to work for you instead of against you. Above all, know that your DNA is a store of miracles waiting to be tapped. All right? That's what the Gene Keys are all about. And the reason I love this system is because every node, okay, every sphere in your profile is a spectrum of an attitude, okay? So I have Gene Key 53 in my life's work and my emotional quotient. That's the shadow of immaturity, the gift of expansion, and the city of superabundance. Anytime I'm feeling like I'm getting into blame or victim mentality or some other type of expression of immaturity, I know I have to expand my perspective. And if I can't make myself expand my perspective, I'll literally expand my body just to break the loop of negative thinking, because I know that my immaturity is just a lower frequency expression of my expanded perspective. Attitude adjustment is what it's all about. All right, this brings me to my first point in how to jailbreak your DNA, which is to watch your attitude and become what Dr. John C. Lilly called the metaprogrammer. All right, we have inside of us sometimes a lot of different conflicting voices. But John C. Lilly in his book, Programming and Metaprogramming, I believe it's called, talks about how we want to have one master metaprogrammer. I like to think of it as the part of our consciousness down here in our human form that's the most connected to our higher consciousness, that can hold the most light and make sure that metaprogrammer, that everything is going through them, all right? So when I see myself in these shadow states, let's use agitation as one, okay? Agitation is a rough one for me. I can get mad agitated, all right? The other side of that shadow is the gift of initiative. What initiative can I take in the moment to offset my agitation? My agitation is trying to get me to do something. What can I do with that energy that's productive? That's me running things through the metaprogrammer. And frankly, I've made my hologenetic profile the blueprint of my metaprogramming strategy, then the strategy's always simple. It's fix your attitude before you do anything, particularly if I'm aware that I'm in a lower frequency attitude. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is bringing light into our DNA. So what is the name of the book? Fruits of the Tree of Life. It's my favorite Kabbalah book. And it talks about how we can look at the sun, not directly and not without sunglasses for a long period of time, okay? But we can look at the sun, or even without looking at it, we can tap into the sun and start consciously calling light into our physical vessel. And that this brings us out of the density that our consciousness is kind of trapped in down here. I mean, yes, we consented to be here. Okay, I don't think any of us are on Earth except for by choice. All right? But now that I doubt our soul knew exactly what was involved when we came down here, or I'm not sure we would have come. But we're here now. And so the name of the game is consciously connecting with the sun and bringing that light into our cells. And according to the gene keys, this is going to activate this quote unquote junk DNA where a bunch of our extrasensory abilities lie. All right, number three, talking to our telomeres. What are our telomeres? I think the best metaphor I've heard from them for them is that they're like the little caps on the ends of shoelaces that keep them from fraying. They are at the end of our chromosomes, and we want those telomeres to stay long and strong because as they deteriorate with age, we deteriorate. And I personally believe that age is a construct, and that actually we can program ourselves to live longer, be stronger, and not have any medical issues, all right? I'm not going to tell you guys how old I am, but suffice to say, I'm living proof that this is a thing. So our telomeres, we can talk to them, right? Actually, you'd be surprised how excited your body will be when you start checking in with it in meditation in a really specific way. So we want to tell our telomeres, wow, thank you so much. You're doing a great job. We want you to stay long and strong, and ask them what they need in the silence of meditation, and you will be so surprised with what comes up. One time I was sick and I talked to my spleen to see if it needed anything. I don't know why. It just occurred to me that maybe my spleen needed a check-in, and I had never talked to my spleen before. You know what it said? It said we need some more hydrolectic microbial enzymes, but otherwise we're fine. I don't know what a hydrolectic microbial enzyme is, okay? I looked it up, and it turns out it breaks down the cell walls of foreign agents so that the spleen, which is a filter for the blood, has an easier time filtering out any bacteria or viruses that are not supposed to be in our system, okay? So all that to say is talking to our body, especially specific parts of our body, and asking what we need can unlock information that no doctor could ever give us. Okay, number 4 hack for jailbreaking your DNA, be in nature, all right? Hug a tree, get in the ocean, whatever you gotta do, take your shoes off, put your feet on the earth, and trust that nature wants us to evolve. Let nature just work on us without our ego trying to get in the way. We could probably do nothing else and just go sit under a tree like the Buddha, all right? And evolve to a higher state of consciousness and evolve our physical beings, including our DNA, to be able to open us up to the greatest possible expression of our consciousness here in this human form. And finally, number 5, let's do what we need to do to stay in a high vibrational state, all right? We emit a little frequency. Us humans in our physical bodies, we want that frequency to be as high as possible. That's gonna come from hanging out with people who bring out the best in us, avoiding chronic stress wherever possible, laughing. All of these things not only raise our vibration, but stabilize us in a higher vibration. And I believe that also, if we did nothing else, would unlock our DNA, and we would start experiencing these extrasensory abilities and an overall heightened sense of ease and access to those gifts in our hologenetic profile, which again are just frequency adjustments from the shadow. All right, as we adjust our vibration, we're naturally going from the shadow state to the gift, perhaps all the way even up to the vibration of the city, which is a feature of enlightenment. All right, most of us are just trying to get through the day, but enlightenment could be cool. And I'll leave you with one more bit from the big book here. As you recognize yourself to be a part of higher evolution, your life's work and inner purpose finally come into alignment. Yeah. You are a part of the grand awakening. You are a DNA molecule within the body of humanity, and you are fully awake. Your only role is to begin programming all the cells around you with these new higher frequencies. Let's do it. Let's jailbreak that DNA. I'm Molly. Thank you so much for watching this video and for visiting my channel. Please subscribe, and if you want to get a Gene Keys reading from me, visit mirrorreadings.com.